Now we are going to discuss about the unit operations and unit processes involved in the treatment of water. So unit processes, that is unit operations are different from unit processes because the unit process operations are the physical operations which is used to remove the impurities present in the water. But the unit processes are the chemical and biological uh, operations which is that is used to convert the impurities from one form to another form. That form can be easily removed. So these are the examples for the unit operations and unit processes in the treatment of the water. So these are the water purification methods we are using to treat the water. First one is screening. In the screening we use the bar screen, medium screen and coarse screen to remove the floatable materials present in the water. If it is surface water resources, the water is water from the surface sources uh, discharged into the town. We use the screening as the unit processes to remove the floatable material present in the water. Next one is sedimentation. So in sedimentation, there are two. First one is plain sedimentation, and the second one is sedimentation aided with the coagulation. So here the suspended solids present in the water tend to settle by means of gravity by reducing the velocity of the flow. Here the sedimentation tank may be divided into intermittent tank or continuous flow tank. This in intermittent tank is nothing but the batch flow. Okay, so the water filled and withdrawn, then again the water is filled. But in continuous flow, the water is allowed to flow continuously while the sedimentation also attained during the processes. Okay. Next one is the settling operations involved in the sedimentation processes. The particles falling through the settling basin having the two components of the velocity. One is horizontal velocity and another one is vertical velocity. That is a downward velocity. That is also called as settling velocity, and the horizontal velocity is also called as flow velocity. The flow velocity is denoted as V suffix h because it is in horizontal direction. So it is equal to the flow by B into h. Here the settling velocity V is indicated as V suffix s. Here the surfacing or there is surface loading rate V is equal to Q by BL. So the T is equal to Z by V. Then the settlement of the particle in the water while it is brought into the rest, the following factors opposed it. They are the velocity of flow and viscosity of flow and the size and shape of the gravity of the particle, the specific gravity of the particle. This is the Stokes the equation which is used to calculate the velocity of the particle, settled particle, that is B suffix s, can be calculated by using the formula by substituting the diameter and specific gravity and kinematic viscosity of the particle. So the first solved example is a wastewater treatment plant has a flow rate of 0.6 meter cube per second. Here the effective settling volume that is 20 meter long, 3 meter tall and 6 meter wide. That is the dimension of the settling basin. Will particle that have a settling velocity of 0.004 meter per second be completely removed? If not, what percentage of the particles will be removed? So first of all, the V can be calculated by means of flow by area. Okay, it is equal to 0.6 meter cube per second divided by the area 20 meter long and by 6 meter width. So we can get the value of V as 0.005 meter per second. Here the horizontal velocity is more than the settling velocity of the particle. So they will not be completely removed because if the horizontal velocity is more, then particle tend to move through the water. So if settling velocity is higher than the horizontal velocity, the particle tend to settle down. So the percentage of the particle which will be removed will be calculated by means of P by V naught. That is here Vp is nothing but the settling velocity. V suffix O is nothing but the horizontal velocity. So the ratio of this multiplied by the 100 to get the percentage removal of 80%. Here the 80% of the particle removed. So next problem, a rectangular settling tank without any mechanical equipment is to treat of 1.8 million liter per day of raw water. The sedimentation period is to be 4 hours and the velocity of flow is taken as 8 centimeter per minute. Here the depth of the water and the sediment is that is 4.2 meter. If an allowance of 1.2 meter for the sediment is made, then what should be the length of the basin and the width of the basin? This is the dimension of the basin they are asking. In this, the supply of the water to be treated per day given as 1.8 10 to the power of 6 liters. That is, it is given as a million liters per day. Here by the supply of water to be treated during the detention period of 4 hours, it will give the capacity. The supply divided by the detention time will give the capacity of the tank, that is volume. This can be converted into liters to meter cube. So the flow velocity is given as 8 centimeter per minute. By divide the value, we can get the dimension of the tank. Here the length of the tank taken as flow velocity into detention time. So by substituting the value, we are getting the length of the tank as 19.2 and the cross-sectional area of the tank is capacity by length of the tank. Then the depth of the sedimentation and water is given as 4.2 and the depth of sediment is 1.2. So therefore the water depth is clear water depth is 3 meter and the width of the tank is area by water depth. It will be 5.21 meter. The next problem is a circular sedimentation tank fitted with a standard mechanical sludge removal equipment is to handle 3.5 million liters per day of raw water. The detention period of the tank is 5 years and the depth of the tank is 3 meter. Then they are asking about the diameter of the tank. So in this, the quantity of water to be treated has given in terms of million liter per day and by dividing the value, there is if we divide the value by means of detention period, then it will give the capacity of the tank in terms of meter cube. So the capacity of the circular tank of depth h and dia d is given by pi. We take the volume as pi d square by 4. Here we take the h is equal to 3. Then the d value will be arrived as 17.3 meter. Next one is sedimentation aided with coagulation. So in the plain sedimentation, the water tend to settle down by reducing the velocity itself. So the particles having lesser diameter, so will not tend to settle down. So by adding the chemicals or some other substances to induce the particle for agglomeration process to form the flax. Flax is nothing but to increasing the diameter of the particle by adding all the particles available in the water. So this is the process called sedimentation aided with coagulation. Here the chemical form there is insoluble, gelatinous or flocculent precipitates. Okay, so this will be added in the form of dry or wet. The coagulation is the mixing of coagulant and flocculation. Okay, so flagellation is nothing but the fine particles are caused to clump together. Okay, so the agglomeration process will take place. After that, it will be the particles will tend to settle down by means of bigger in diameter and also bigger in that is higher in specific gravity. So the most used um, coagulants are aluminum sulfate, sodium aluminate. That is the aluminum sulfate is nothing but alum, and ferric chloride, ferric sulfate. These are the most used coagulants, and the optimum dosage of the coagulant required for the water treatment plant is determined by jar test to avoid the excess amount of coagulant to reduce the cost. Here is a solved problem. A water treatment plant is required to process 28,800 meter cube per day of raw water. Then the density of the has given us 1000 kilogram per meter cube, and kinematic viscosity as 10 to the power of minus 6 square meter per second. The rapid mixing tank imparts a velocity gradient of 900 per second to blend 35 milligram per liter of alum with the flow for a detention time of 2 minutes. Here the power input required for rapid mixing is calculated by the formula P is equal to G square into mu into N. So by substituting the values, we calculated the power in terms of watts. Next one is filtration process. This is the process the water is allowed to pass through the bed of fine and coarse aggregate, that is by means of granular material, which is called as filtration. It removes the bacteria, color and odor and taste which is present in the water. So in this process, about 95 to 98% of the suspended solids are removed. So the washing of filter, which can be done by means of the backwashing. Okay. So the mechanism of filtration by means of mechanical straining and sedimentation by means of the absorption process. Then by electrolyting action and biological action. These are the mechanism which is involved in the filtration processes. So here the types of filters are slow sand filter and rapid sand filter and pressure filter. So in the pressure filter, the pressure is maintained between that is developed 3 to 7 kg per centimeter square. Here this is the tabulation indicates the difference between the slow sand filter and rapid sand filter. So the area requirement is very large for the slow sand filter, and in case of rapid sand filter it is very meager. So raw water turbidity, so not more than, it removes only 30 NTU, but here it is 10 NTU, so it needs coagulation. Likewise, the rate of filtration, loss of head, and the cleaning of filter, then the efficiency for the both type of filters has given like this. So there is a solved problem in slow sand filter. Here they are asking to design the slow sand filter beds for the population of 50,000 persons, and per capita demand has given us 150 liter per day per person, and the rate of filtration is 180 liter per hour per square meter. Here the length of bed is equal to twice the breadth, that is L is equal to 2B. Here the assumption has given us 1 point, that is maximum demand can be taken as 1.8 times of the average daily demand. Also assume that 1 unit out of 6 will be kept as standby. So the average daily demand can be calculated by multiplying the per capita demand with the population. Here the population given as 50,000 and it is multiplied by the per capita demand as 150 liter per day per person. So we can get the value in terms of liter per day. So the maximum daily demand is 1.8 times of the average daily demand. So we can get the value, and the rate of filtration per day is given as 180 liters per hour per square meter. So it should be multiplied by 24 to get the value in terms of liter per square meter per day. So because it is given in hour, so to get the value in day, it is multiplied by 24, and the total surface area of the filter required is maximum daily demand to the rate of filtration per day. So by substituting the values, we will get the value answer in terms of square meter. Here, out of 6, 1 is kept as standby. So 5 units should provide the necessary area for the filter required and the area of each filter. So this is the total area divided by the number of filtering unit, that is divided by 5. The value is 625 square meter. Here the length is equal to given as 2 times of the breadth, that is L is equal to B, and by substituting this in this we are getting the value of length and breadth. So hence the use of filter, that is 1 as standby. So each unit of size 36 meter by 18 meter arranged in the series with the units of either side. The next problem, a water treatment plant of capacity 1 meter cube per second has the filter boxes of dimension 6 meter by 10 meter. Here the loading rate of the filter is given as 120 meter cube per day per square meter, and when two of the filters are out of service for backwashing, what will be the loading rate? So the answer should be in terms of meter cube per day per square meter. So here the total amount of water filtered per day can be, that is it is given as 1 meter cube per second. It is converted into meter cube per day by multiplying the value 3000, that is 60 into 60 into 24. The surface area of filter bed is calculated by divide the value loading rate of the filter, that is Q by loading rate. So area of one filter, if length and breadth as 6 by 10, it has given in problem. So the area of the one filter is 60 square meter. So the number of filters provided as the total surface area divided by number of that is area of each filter. So it will give the value of 2 filters. So 2 are out of service among the number of filters available. So the remaining filter, number of available filters are 12 minus 2 is equal to 10. So the total surface area of the 10 filter is 600 square meter, and the loading rate is Q by area. So it is a 144 meter cube per day per square meter. Next one is disinfection process. So this is the process attained by means of chlorination. So here the water is disinfected to kill the pathogenic bacteria present in the water after the water coming from the secondary clarifier. Here the method of disinfection can be attained by means of the following physical and chemical methods. So some of the physical methods are boiling, ultraviolet rays, by passing the ultraviolet rays and the ultrasonic rays. So in the chemical methods we use the chlorine gas and chlorine compounds, and bromine, iodide, then potassium permanganate, and sometimes ozone. So excess lime treatment also done for the disinfection process. So in the chlorination, the chlorine is added to kill the bacteria present in the water, because the chlorine is available in gas form, also in liquid form, also in solid form. So in any form, according to the usage, we can use it easily. So after applying the chlorine in the water, it kills the pathogenic bacteria present in the water, and the remaining amount of excess chlorine is called as residual chlorine. Here the difference of the residual chlorine applied in the water and the quantity of chlorine applied is called as chlorine demand. So here normally the residual chlorine of 0.2 milligram per liter is required. Here the dosage of chlorine has given us 0.2 milligram per liter for resided chlorine. This here points of in the points of chlorination. It is pre-chlorination, post-chlorination, and rechlorination. So the pre-chlorination is nothing but the chlorine is added before the water enter into the sedimentation tank. Post-chlorination is nothing but the after completing all the unit processes involved in the treatment processes, we are adding the chlorine before it is entering into the distribution system. So the types of chlorinations are plain chlorination, superchlorination, and breakpoint chlorination, and dechlorination. So the plain chlorination is nothing but the process of addition of chlorine only when the surface water with no treatment is required. It is a simple chlorination. It requires the water require no other treatment. Is simply chlorinated to kill the pathogenic bacteria, or to kill the bacteria present in the water. So superchlorination is nothing but the excess, there is done considerably excess, there is for the adequate bacterial purification of the water. Here the diagram indicates the point D is called as breakpoint chlorination. It's nothing but the x-axis implies as the chlorine dosage. So when free chlorine content increases with increase in residual chlorine, and at one point it starts to disappear. Okay, so again at one point it starts to appear again. That point is called as free residual chlorine. That is a appear point is called as a breakpoint chlorination. So the breakpoint chlorination gives an idea of the amount of chlorine added to the water to ensure the desired amount of residual chlorine. So for that purpose we use the breakpoint chlorination. So dosage beyond this point is called as superchlorination. Okay, next one is the removal of excess chlorine resulting from superchlorination is called as dechlorination. So the miscellaneous methods, treatment methods available for the water treatment are: first one is water softening. So it is the process of removing the hardness by means of lime soda ash method, ion exchange method, by means of the zeolite softening, zeolite processes, and demineralization. So next one is taste and odor removal by means of oxidation. Oxidation process, we remove the taste and odor present in the water. So in the oxidation processes we use potassium permanganate and ozone. So here the aeration is the also the solve. There is a also a treatment which is available to solve the problem, and adsorption by adding the granulate, that is a activated carbon, in the water to remove the taste and odor. Then copper sulfate is also added in the powder form or crystal form to remove these things. Next is desalination processes, which is used to remove the saline water present in the, that is saline water is converted into fresh water. Next one is membrane filter, is used to remove the particles that is lesser than the, that is larger than the 0.2 micrometer. Next one is defluoridization. This is the process which is used to reduce the fluoride concentration present in the water. Next one is iron and manganese removal. Can be removed by means of aeration. Aeration is the process which removes the it is the process which also removes the dissolved gases like carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and all the gases which is available in the water by supplying the excess amount of oxygen. um, so it oxidizes the dissolved metals such as iron and all the thing available in the water, and it also can be used to remove the volatile organic compounds, that is VOC.